Muy buenas, ¿qué tal? Estamos aquí, volvemos en Sherlock Holmes, otra vez, de nuevo, espera. De nuevo pero no, sacrificio del cordero. Oswell, en los archivos, que lo interrogue. En los archivos. Archivos.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him
Lol.
down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
Junto con sus artículos confiscados. Vale, espérate, porque primero quiero hablar con... esta sobre el libro.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood and Mandrake, what do you hope to achieve?
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped, I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection, for fortune, to wash away the ugliness of the world. Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought. I don't know what to say. I have nothing to add.
This is the letter the police found in Mr. Vogel's pocket. Fabio wrote it. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. Although I can feel Fabio's energy. It's there, but it refuses to let me analyze it. I know I can handle the news.
Tú no me dices. Ah, sí.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter from a dead man.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures.
Vale, ¿dónde está el gigante? Sí, creo que sí, espérate.
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
Pisó sangre. Hola, a ver, si encontró el cadáver. No es tan raro. Psoriasis o alergia. Parece pobre. Muestra síntomas de... El traje de mayordomo... No creo.
You are the majordomo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide, under heavy makeup, a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
I do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always, Fabio-centric?
And Batista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
Descubrir el escenario del crimen. Es una posibilidad. Pero bueno. Con fallo para recuperar su amor.
Please let me out.
Carta agresiva de Fabio a un remitente desconocido.
So, the police found a letter from Fabio in your pocket.
I cannot tell if it was truly in my pocket at all. Perhaps it was placed there later.
Well, that is one hypothesis. If it were true, then how did it get there?
No clue. But this night has been rather eccentric. Such a detail could have easily eluded me.
Indeed. Do you recall reading it?
I can't remember that either. But I tend to respect privacy. Reading others' personal notes is not one of my perversities.
Espérate, sus... Claro, espérate, que no he visto esto. Espérate un momentito, compañero.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
Santos, gusano optimista. Me he rogado que te incluya en el testamento y eso he hecho. Es mi última revisión. Corte. Recibe un tarro de cera de bigote y una lámpara de sal para que... LOL. Pero what the fuck, dude.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a majordomo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love. cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
Por ahí hay un móvil, ¿eh? Vamos a hablar.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
Hostia puta, hostia. Es que, de verdad, o sea, Qué lioso todo, macho. Por los motivos, o sea, todos tienen prácticamente...
Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchos?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchos could make Fabio that angry, though.
O
What
sea,
do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchos. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchos.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchos?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
pero Manchos no es el jefe. Era cliente. Me estoy perdiendo un poco. ¿Cómo? La carta de Fabio. Espera.
Please let me out.
No. ¿Quién queda por hablar?
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchos.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for
You being on a bender?
touche.
Vogel tomó la carta bajo influencia de varias sustancias. Machos le puso la carta en el bolsillo para hacer que pareciera sospechoso. Kurt Manchos es el asesino, abusó de... Oh. Espérate. No,
I appreciate your...
tío, no. Espérate, Palacio de la Mente, pero es que todavía me quedan más opciones. De amor durante el que mató a Fabio. Pinchetti. Matar a Fabio y inculpar a su tío. Vale, vale, vale. Joder, no tengo ni puta idea, tío. Sinceramente no tengo ni puta idea de qué hacer. Ahora mismo.
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free Mr. Vogel.
Do you really think I'm that naive? I need proof, not words from his friend.
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing Fabio with expensive and eccentric gifts. The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy Fabio with them. It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy him? It doesn't fit Mr. Vogel's character.
Look here. We had a deal. Give me the murderer and then take your friend with you. I won't budge otherwise.
Well, fine, but you're just wasting time.
Y ahora sí que sí. Tengo que decidir. Pues estoy entre Pinchetti o Manchios. Voy a decir que ha sido Manchios. Crimen pasional o depredador sexual. No lo sé, ¿eh? No lo sé. Pero voy a decir de momento esto. Me ha gustado mucho este caso, ¿eh? Ha estado guay, ha estado guay.
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes, or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details, Mr. Manchios.
Nonsense. I missed it simply because of the busy schedule of the party.
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned. You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children. You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on you. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
Uf, no sé, igual la he cagado, pero bueno.
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you, since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
Early 60s.
who hosts the cream of Cordona's society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
Fabio played with your feelings. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way that you would have liked. You wanted to be loved, but Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You were passionate, and so you struck him. Once you understood your mistake, it was too late. You were afraid, so you staged the ritual. With such a story, you might be sentenced to a few years. It might clean your conscience, and soon the case will be forgotten.
No. No.
This is my decision. I'll talk to Constable Oswald to see what I can do.
Y no puedo... Puedo acusar a varios y ver la puta reacción de cada uno. Vale. Me gusta esto, me gusta. Vamos a hablar con Pinchetti ahora.
I'll remember this horror forever. I'll remember this horror forever. I'll remember this horror forever.
Ah, no puedo acusar a varios. En el momento en el que...
I'd weep if I had any tears left at all.
I wish everything were different.
En el momento en el que me decido por uno, en el que llego a acusar a uno, es una sentencia ya.
There's no fool like an old fool.
Cart Mancho, sí, vale.
Kurt Manchios did it. A young boy played with the heart of an old man. The latter couldn't handle it. The evidence I obtained clearly shows that the quarrel was not intended to end badly. It was an accident.
Showing pity towards your own kind, Holmes. Whatever.
All I'm saying is that prison won't take much away from an old and crushed man.
Fine. A big name like that will still give me a promotion. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Good luck, Constable.
A ver. No. ¿Dónde? Ah, aquí. Esa misión empapada. Profunda incisión vertical. A lo largo de la garganta.
Garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened.
Sí, pero espérate. Antes de nada, ataúd de hierro.
Where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've almost found what you wanted.
Vale, aquí no me puedo cambiar. Aquí sí.
What a long day.
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
Unfortunately, my casebook is empty on this.
Escucha, en los calabozos de la comisaría.
Excuse me, but are you Mr.
Sí.
Capello? My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm hoping you could spare a moment to talk.
Manners, what a pleasant surprise. Most of your colleagues have lacked even the simplest of common courtesies.
You're a suspect, sir, but not yet a criminal. I shan't treat you as such. Your case is refreshingly unusual, and I wish to get to the bottom of it.
Manners and enthusiasm. Huh. May you go far, young man. What can I help you with?
Traumatismo... Ojo, ojo, Tiene 40 y pocos años, hombre, todo... Voy a decir esto, a ver.
You are surprisingly composed for a man accused of murder. Not so easily shaken, I take it.
Life is full of surprises. You'd be astonished how many deals go sour due to a force majeure. One becomes skilled at adapting. I am confident this will all be set straight. Until then, I will endure.
Much how you endure that injured hand. Those bruises look painful, but you seem barely aware of it. Were you attacked?
No. A minor accident, nothing more. My heady days as a man out to prove his valor are far behind me. I now know that to succeed in life, one must stay calm and plan ahead. The world will turn your way eventually. And if it does not, then one must persuade it so.
Please, tell me how you ended up in this situation.
Well, this morning some clients arrived to finalize their purchase of a Capello modular safe. But when we opened the door, out tumbled a dead man.
And I take it this wasn't normal?
No, I normally keep my corpses in the wardrobe. Please, young man, spare me your wit. The rest of the day was a blur. I recognized the victim, and it seems so did the police. That was enough to make me the main suspect.
¿Quién era la víctima?
No one. As it happens, we had a break-in last night. Nothing was stolen, but for insurance purposes, the report had to be made. So, police officers just happened to be on the premises when we discovered the body in the safe.
Joder.
You say you became the suspect when the police identified the victim. Is there history between you?
Surely you jest. That man and I have never met, and never would, unless he became the first deity in history to use our products.
Some sort of family feud? I'm afraid I'm not familiar.
You must be new to Cordona. It's an old tale. Back in Italy, generations ago, the deities tried to ruin our family business. They nearly succeeded. The Capellos rightfully struck back, but there has been bad blood ever since.
And does that blood flow in you too?
I told you, sir, it's an old story, or it was. I fear this horrible event portends worse to come. My wife may be in danger as we speak.
You mentioned you were showing your wares to some prospective buyers when the safe was opened. Who were they?
Clerks from the bank. They inspected the safe from top to bottom yesterday. I assumed the sale was just a formality at that point.
And the safe was closed?
It's usually open, but it locks automatically when the door swings closed. That's another marvelous Capello invention.
A coffin that locks itself. Marvelous indeed.
LOL.
Help me grasp your movements yesterday. What time did you meet the customers from the bank, and did you have any other appointments?
Yesterday, the bank clerks arrived at 10 a.m. Afterwards, I was alone in the office until my wife Augusta came in at 3 p.m. I left for home at 6:30 p.m.
And what about this morning?
Our meeting for the demonstration was set for 9 a.m. I arrived about half an hour prior in order to prepare.
I have one final inquiry. Do you recall the time at which the safe door was closed?
Young man, I may just as well ask you when you closed your cigar case. I have opened our safes a dozen times a day for a dozen years. I do not recall.
I'd like to inquire about the burglary.
I'm not sure I see the connection, but if you wish to know more, talk to Billy Lloyd, the night watchman. He scared off the thief.
Was it also Billy that discovered the burglar?
No, my wife did. She had stayed late yesterday. Poor Augusta. At least she's safer with the police than at home alone.
Well, Mr. Capello, I think that's all I need from you at present. Where can I find your office?
Here, take my card. Billy should be on site to assist with the investigation. And please, sir, would you check on my wife before you depart?
Thank you. I will endeavor to speak with her before I leave the station.
Please, treat her gently. Women
Lol.
lack our resilience
Lol.
when it comes to
Hostia.
deals like this. I shall eagerly await your return. After all, there's little else I can do.
Vale, 4 pistas actualizadas. Ok. A ver.
Mrs. Capello, please wait in the office. The inspector will be here soon.
You must be the inspector.
Would you be Augusta Capello?
Must I really repeat myself to every baby-faced man in uniform that strides in?
Forgive me, I am not the inspector, but I am working on your husband's case.
Then I have nothing to say to you. Come back with the inspector in charge so that we may dispense with the endless repetition.
F. Tomó lauda no hace poco. Ojo, drogas.
Whilst I prefer German composers, the harp solo from Lucia di Lammermoor stands out as one of Donizetti's finest contributions to the form. I'm sure Basilio thought the same.
He did. How? Did he tell you how we met?
Oh, there was no need. It is trivial to observe how much you value your memories of playing harp in the orchestra, and even an amateur Italian harpist would be familiar with Donizetti's finest work.
Yes. Music is a balm in these uncertain times. It is nice to meet another who appreciates it.
Much as I appreciate the truth. Please, Mrs. Capello, let me help you and your husband.
I am not unappreciative, sir. But I'm afraid I presently lack the strength.
Basilio tells me you were present during the burglary yesterday.
Bueno, perfecto.
What can you tell me about it?
Oh, it gave me such a fright. I fainted, fell to the floor. I wish I could help you, but I'm just utterly useless. Please, I want to rest before the inspector arrives.
Were you familiar with the deceased man found in the safe?
No, I did not know him, nor can I conceive of how the poor soul ended up there.
You've had quite the day, Mrs. Capello. I shall leave you be. If I have further questions, I may visit again later.
Entonces. No debería revelarle a ninguno de los sospechosos que no soy policía. Pues mira, lo estoy haciendo sin querer. Ok. Vale. Oficinas Armor Capello. Catedral de San Clemente en Escaladio. Vale, espera, pero tengo que salir de comisaría.
Oh, you did it, Sherlock! The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo!
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
It was the best decision I could obtain. The truth must be told in the way it is most acceptable.
You're making progress, Sherlock. I was right to believe in you. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity, and it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
I take your point. There are some limits on us all, some compromises we must make. Despite my best efforts, we cannot remain entirely objective.
I didn't want to sadden you, Sherlock. only to make you think beyond your boundaries. You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.
Vale, bueno, pues nada, pues después de esta charla bastante extraña, nos vamos a tomar por culo. Vale, y ahora aquí fuera sí que me tendría que poder teletransportar. Que viajar, vamos. Y por aquí no había un vendedor de periódicos en el mapa. Ah, no, es el Cordona Chronicle, perdón. Pues nada, vamos para acá.
Extra! Headless eels floundering! Friedrich Panzer, the head of the eels gang, has been arrested. Interested in some...
Hostia, pero esto hace mucho que... ¿No?
Check the front page. You won't regret it.
Nice to see you.
Vale, a ver.
The best antiques in the district. My goods will brighten up your house.
¿Puedo comprar algo? O sea, claro, tengo bastante dinero. Venga, va. Fría y de madera, como tu padre.
Enjoy your purchase.
We have a large assortment in Pleasant.
Armor copero, hostia. Justo, macho. Bueno, espérate. Lo he descubierto, pero no sé muy bien. Vale, coño, aquí.
Hello there.
Ill-fitting pants, wonky nose, and hair that appears to have been cut by your own hand. You must be Billy Lloyd.
Oh, it's you! I knew you'd come.
You did?
You're Mirko Gallia, the best investigative journalist on Cordona. I'm a fan of your work.
Alas, you're mistaken. The name is Sherlock Holmes, and your employer...
Oh, of course. Discretion. I'm sorry. I doubt the policeman upstairs heard me, though, so your secret is safe with me, Sherlock.
Mr. Capello told me you were present during the burglary and scared the criminal off the property.
Hey, you should have seen it. As soon as the burglars saw me, they went white as death. Ran out the back door of the office. I heard a thud and cat shrieks, so I think they went over the railing and into the bushes out back. Clearly, my reputation precedes me. Mr. Capello was so proud.
You're a guard, but you didn't give chase.
Well, by the time I made it outside, they were miles away. So I went back to help Mrs. Capello. That kind of gentlemanly courtesy is why I'm so well regarded round these parts.
What did the thief look like?
Shorter than me, mid-20s, a huge scar across the right cheek going from the eye. Short hair. She didn't look like a ghost. Too corporeal.
Hold on. She? You didn't think to mention the burglar was a woman?
Why did you assume it was a man? It's the 19th century, sir. Ambitious young women are out there pursuing a career, and I, for one, encourage it.
Yes, spare me the sermon. When did the burglary happen?
After 10 in the evening. I was just talking to Mrs. Capello.
Does she normally work this late?
No, it's the first time it happened. Usually I'm alone.
¿Cómo han abierto la
I was
caja
explaining
fuerte?
to Mrs. Capello how drinking water every 3 hours can help with digestion. When she excused herself and went back upstairs. Then there was a scream, and I ran up to the office, and...
I know what happened next, thank you. What about last evening? Do you have any more details about the break-in?
Of course. I write down everything that happens during my watch. Take a look.
Fastidious in its mundanity, but I will make of it what I can. I must go and inspect the crime scene. If I have further questions, Mr. Lloyd, I will find you.
Oh, don't worry. I won't be able to keep away.
Right.
The best on the market. You can wallop them, you can burn them. Nothing will work.
bet he tested that himself.
Combinación de todas las cajas fuertes de la oficina. Vale, entonces ya sé cómo... Vale.
Strength, security, peace of mind. Tacky.
Well, you know, that's your opinion, good sir.
Clear indications of blunt trauma, possibly inflicted before the victim was in the safe. Bulging veins, cyanosis, bloodshot eyes, odd foaming in the mouth. Bruises, torn nails, bleeding was severe and continued at length. Clothes are not fully buttoned. Was the victim dressing or undressing?
Claro, arañazos y
Blood
tal.
on the safe door could have been left by the
Ahora pues
victim.
tiene pinta.
What a rotten way to die.
Yeah, what a shame.
¿Tú quién eres? Tú no estabas. Ah, eres
That's
el de
about all of you I can...
Ah, eres el de antes. Análisis químico. -4 y -6. Omitir, perfecto. Genial. La forma es intoxicación ligera, probablemente a causa del vino. Vale.
Why do I get the worst jobs?
Do you know anything else about the dead body in the safe?
Well, there is the rule of threes. You can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 hours in harsh weather, and 3 minutes...
Of you talking?
...without air. I'm sorry, did you say something?
No, very enlightening, Mr. Lloyd, thank you. Is this code memo still valid?
Oh, yes. It's the same combination code everywhere. It corresponds to Mrs. Capello's birthday, actually. In fact, during this year's celebration, I was allowed a sip of champagne. That's when I had to dry my trousers, and then I had to...
Okay, thank you, Billy.
I know of it, but... forgot. Oh, actually... No. I know of it, but... forgot.
What can you tell me about Mr. Capello?
He's a good employer, but very focused on work, and very serious about security, of course, since he employed a night watch of my caliber. Not everyone appreciates his strict business approach, though. Store clerks don't seem to last long in the office.
Good to know. Have you noticed anything different about Mrs. Capello recently?
Not really. She talks to me more when I start my shift. Probably because of the 100 Best Curry Recipes book I'm reading. Oh, and we've been running out of paper a lot lately, so she often sends me out to buy more for her. She's very particular about the paper we use. Only one store on the island stocks it, and it's on the other side of the town. But I'm really fast.
Interesting, thank you.
Perfecto. Vale. ¡Oh! ¡Hostia! Humillación final de su asesino. Vale, pero yo no quería esto, yo quería... arbustos del patio de atrás.
A concert program from 7 years ago. An Augusta La Duca is listed as a harpist in the orchestra. Two theatre tickets for Shakespeare's Othello. The performance is tomorrow.
Have to respect the classics.
Niclodetti... es el muerto. Niclodetti volverá a... Ronaldo Gigaldi. Para entrar a una cena detective, unas cuantas semanas. 2 fechas consignadas con caja fuerte ayer y hoy.
Well organized workplace.
Mr. Capello is the best.
Okay, this chap is seriously creepy.
¿Qué? What? ¿Por qué? Pero... capachao. Vale.
Oh, actually... no.
Do you know what this note might be about?
I cannot presume to know another's mind, of course, but... I think Mr. and Mrs. Capello have been having some familial difficulties. Probably due to their lack of children. One of my oldest friends helps couples with their relationship troubles, and he always says...
You don't have to continue.
Oh, well, he says that to me as well, but I'm perfectly happy to.
No, I insist. Do you know anything about these entries?
No, but Mr. Capello is so well organised. I use a different method, very popular among the Buddhist monks. You create an attic in your mind and...
I'm familiar. Keep it tidy, put only necessary information in, remove unnecessary information regularly.
What? No, it's called an attic. You just stuff it with everything. You never know what might prove helpful someday.
That is profoundly upsetting. Do you know whose keys these are?
Probably Mr. Capello's. Police took him so suddenly. I have the same set, but it's more efficient. Has fewer keys.
So you don't have access to the entire office?
No. Only Mr. and Mrs. Capello have the key to the back door.
Llave de la puerta de atrás. Ojo.
The letter F is inscribed within a 4-leaf clover pattern. Passe muraille. Walk through walls in French. Our thief seems rather arrogant. A comprehensive set of lockpicks, recently cleaned, with no fresh scratches.
Vale. Pasar a través de las... Vale, o sea, esto tengo que ir a... Ayuntamiento no creo. Cordona Chronicle. La comisaría.